Welcome to Sweet Bee. This is our live stream series highlighting artists in and around our area. I'm Mike Bennett, and we're here at Professor B Studios in downtown Winston-Salem. Tonight we have what I've learned is a really fun group to sit around and hang out with and listen to and chat with and tried not to get in trouble with. And so I hope that you will enjoy finding out about them if you don't already, or if you do, kind of cheering them on and supporting them on the channel and going and following their stuff. But if you would please help me welcome to the show the Grand Ole Uproar. Hey guys.
Hey. What's up, man?
You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. So something I like to do when we've got a group of people, both for sake of old man brain and for all of the people watching, is if we could just kind of go around and kind of introduce yourself, what your role in the band is, and anything you're feeling froggy enough about, you know, mentioning if you want to.
You want me to go
first?
first?
Yeah, you should go for it.
My name's Justin Horth. I'm the drummer. I've been with him since the beginning of the year, so I'm probably the newest member.
Okay.
I'm Wake Clinard. I've been playing with Josh 4 years, 2015, I guess, something like that.
28 dog years.
Yeah, I'm playing steel guitar with these guys and loving it.
Awesome.
Adrian Foltz, harp and utility, just that kind of deal. And sometimes drums. Known Josh about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So, yep.
Awesome.
I'm Josh Watson. I write the songs. I play guitar. That's right. Yeah, thanks. I do. I know we passed it around. Write the songs, play guitar, sing, book everything. Started the band in 2010.
Awesome.
I'm Danny Bear. I mostly drive, and then when it stops, I play bass. So.
Fair enough. All right.
We're usually in the
So
I thought this was a truck driving job. I didn't realize till we got to the first gig that I was expected to actually play.
So you mentioned driving, and just before we went live, we were sitting and chatting, and you guys were sharing a little bit about a story, and I didn't get all of it because I wanted to save some of it for camera. But you were on the road, and I'm not asking who was driving at the time, but you were on the road, and there was a bus involved, and a minibus involved, and a rental van involved, and there was so kind of like this story from the road kind of thing. Kind of where were you playing, and a little bit about what happened, because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we were on a tour that went down through South Carolina to the Gulf of Mexico, down in Florida, up through New Orleans to Houston, on back. And we had made it to Houston without much issue. And then when we were swinging back through New Orleans, we had played 2 gigs there, went to Houston, came back and stayed one more night before we were heading to Birmingham. And in the morning, the kind, wonderful Airbnb host said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but a short bus, a runaway short bus, a student had stolen a bus and sideswiped our vehicle of anything to hit in New Orleans." He picked our rental vehicle.
Gee, gear in it and everything?
Yeah, probably. Probably. We were asleep at the time.
Yeah, that's something to wake up to.
Yeah.
But the rest of the shows, tour, all
Oh, yeah, that was
okay?
awesome,
Yeah.
you know, and Sanders Davis was playing bass, and Ryan Burgess was playing drums, and we sat there for 6 hours waiting for the New Orleans Police Department, and I was sure that the gig in Birmingham was canceled, but they said, "Nah, we got 5 hours, let's do this," and they were, you know, pushed on through.
What you do, man.
And so, yeah, they went really well, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you threw out a couple other names, and I don't want to dive too deep into this because I want to talk about what you're doing now, but kind of as a setup, and so because people are hopefully going to go and, you know, check out the videos and the social media and see old pictures and that kind of stuff, and they're not necessarily going to see all of these faces in all of them, and so you've kind of had, and I think you said it was founded in 2010. Mm-hmm. So over the past 9 years, you've had several different iterations of the band, several different but it's not just been people are in and then out and stay out. It seems to be a little bit of a floating thing for some of the
Sure.
members and a little bit of others. So not just, so kind of a two-part question. What is that like from a writing, leading, planning perspective? But then also from the rest of the band, how does that impact role and chemistry as far as between musicians? And do you find yourself playing the same songs a different way when the makeup of the band changes?
Well, they obviously evolve as the membership evolves. So different lineups take them sort of in a different direction, but generally the basic structures remain the same.
Okay.
So it's people will recognize them.
Right.
Yeah, and it just has a great pool, a handful of musicians. Like we've played together for years, and Justin's been with us since New Year's Eve. But it just Cliff Greason, who plays with Sam Frazier in the side effects, sometimes sits in. Craig Pennell, bass players, plays with us. And it's, I think people who just play with us sort of know it may be like that.
Yeah.
They are very open to it. And it's great to have a lot of musicians who know these songs and sort of have the repertoire somewhat down.
Sure.
It's always adding, and we have to catch up to some degree, but it's great, everybody.
So do you ever get the opportunity to bring a more of a collective kind of a concept together and do a bigger show, or is that
Well, economics
something
usually
okay.
dictates, right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
The van's only so big. Yeah,
Sure. I mean, you can pack 3 people in a van and get real tight, but, the fourth one, we don't know where he's going to fit.
yeah. That's fun.
But, yeah.
So for some of the guys that are, I guess newer members, kind of how did you get connected? Kind of, where's the, not just interpersonal connection, but like the music connection, and just hearing you guys sound check and stuff earlier, there's an obvious variance in kind of backgrounds musically, I think, that comes out in how you approach your instruments, but it kind of sits inside the way the songs are written in a really good way. So maybe for some of the guys that weren't, more original members, if you could just kind of talk a little bit about how you've kind of brought your style into something that's pre-existing, because it's not a right out of the gate thing.
Well, I would say for me, beginning of the question is, how do I know him? Josh found me somehow. And I just been in a project that had just come to an end, so I was kind of casting him out for something to do.
Gotcha.
And so it worked out great, and I needed some songs to learn and something to work on. So, but as far as the music goes, I think with different personnel, it does sound differently, and you approach it differently, depending on where you are in the process. I will say that, I used to think Josh was just fearless about booking gigs without knowing whether he had a band ready. But I quickly learned that he always did.
Yeah.
And so many people know this stuff, and like he says, a lot of people have the repertoire that, I've played with Adrian as a drummer and as a harp player, so you know what I mean. So it's different.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well,
How did you get hooked up with Josh?
for me, we got a lot of mutual friends, and Josh has reached out to me on social media and say, hey, can you fill in for a few gigs? Excuse me. And that was on New Year's Eve, and now what about 60 gigs later? So I'm starting to learn them. But, I was able to listen back to some live recordings, with Bunk playing and,
Yeah, I have 4 years of live shows.
some live
Right.
shows, so, and the old videos with Jeremy and you got a bunch of videos on YouTube, so there's a lot of original stuff there.
Right.
And that was an attraction for me, as I like the way that Josh writes
Okay.
a lot of original songs, so.
I'll do this as I was supposed to. And these guys are great about archiving. Justin has a recorder set up at the back of his drum kit.
Yeah.
Wake has one at the front, And they have been really great about archiving a lot of these live shows. So
Oh, that's cool.
sometimes, as musicians and anyone who might be watching might be able to relate, sometimes you feel like sonic wallpaper.
Yeah.
Even when you're nailing it and you feel like, man, this is great, people are,
Yeah.
There's crickets at the
You're
end.
still the
football games.
That's
or
right.
whatever,
You're fighting whatever else
And-
is going on in the room.
And so being able to hear these recordings at least give me, I think it makes me have a little more confidence in myself as a player and
that's
hear
cool.
what's going wrong and what's going right, and
Yeah.
makes me keep going. So thank you. But-
Recently, we were playing downtown on 4th Street, and I didn't think much about this at the time, but when we listened to the recording, it was actually kind of cool. A siren, police were flying up the street, and the siren's getting closer and closer. You kind of hear it go across the stereo field.
Oh, nice.
And we were playing Deep Ellum Blues, and this siren was in E.
Oh.
And it was just so cool.
Yeah.
Just great.
So, and that kind of goes towards what I was getting ready to ask about that, is if you're always recording, are there any kind of happy accidents that you found along the way, or any new songs that have been born out of kind of jam moments within other songs? Because I know songs will birth other songs sometimes in a live setting. Have you had any of that from the recording
No,
process?
I wouldn't say for me, and he's go ahead.
He's been doing it for so long. He's got a lot of old original stuff, which we're not even playing now. So there's such a sort of catalog of
Gotcha.
his own stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well,
forget what it was.
and there's with Josh, there's never a set list. I mean, so we talked about how there were never going to be
What songs are we going to play? Grand Ole Uproar songs.
But knowing what the next song is means listening to the first bar
Sure.
and and getting on it.
Oh, wow.
Set your pedals up and go.
That's
Which one is this again?
There's a set list, but it's just a guide.
right? It's
There's
list
no
of
set
suggestions.
list.
We might do this next. So I want to, because I mean, we could keep going with some of these stories and stuff, but I want to ask one more thing before we kind of start throwing towards the break. I was reading through kind of a list of things that you had done and stages that you have shared, or people you'd share the stage with, and that kind of thing. And some of that's on your social media, on your website and stuff. But looking at, when we highlight local artists, in a lot of ways, people immediately think a certain thing, and it's kind of that almost once a local artist, always a local artist, and not that that's inherently a terrible thing, but a lot of people just think that that's what it is. But at some point, most of the artists out there were local artists. But when, like, you guys lead with a name like Lost Lonely Boys, like you've shared stages with them, and I see these videos of these rooftop, sessions where the band's on top of a roof in Nashville somewhere doing this thing and getting interviewed
yeah.
and stuff. And so there's these cool moments that go beyond. And so can you talk just a little bit, I don't want to go too far because I'm sure that there's a ton of stories wrapped up in this question, but talk a little bit about the experiences that come from traveling the way you do, not avoiding playing local shows, but not only playing local shows. Because you listed off states and cities even at the beginning of just us sitting down just now, and there's experiences that come with that, but does it feel like you're playing in a away game, or does it feel like you're just doing what you do in a different setting? Like, how does that take on a different animal, and what's that experience like going and doing those different things with different artists?
Well, the songs that I write, I think, are songs that they wouldn't seem as valid if we just hung around town. I mean, I know these guys don't want to hear that all the time, but if we just played, Greensboro all the time, these songs wouldn't be the truth. And if it's these songs about the road and all of that,
Yeah.
I mean, we've earned it.
Sure.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
and we've been able to take it all over, and it is interesting because you develop these long-term relationships with venues. I mean, Bristol, Tennessee, Abingdon, Virginia, New Orleans. We have friends there, and venues that I know I can get a gig tomorrow, and that is really one of those are the relationships that really make it
Right.
work and worthwhile. And in Abingdon, we have friends who are, like family.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we show up, they treat.
And that's grown strictly from the touring and the being there?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's not a
exactly.
pre-existing thing. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I want to get us over to the break so we can get you guys on stage and hear what you do. But before we do that, if somebody wouldn't mind, just kind of into this camera back here over my shoulder, let people know where can they find you online, where can they find you on social media, where can they go buy your music, stream your music, and where can they come see you play live?
Well, the GrandOleUproar.com is a great place to start. Ole uproar.com. We're on Facebook, just like Grandma and everybody else you probably know, right? And we're on Reverb Nation and all over YouTube, the Grand Ole Uproar on YouTube. We are playing September 20th at the Brewer's Kettle in Kernersville. Okay. The 21st, we're playing Castle's Deli in King.
That's a cool spot.
Look at my cheat sheet. The 27th of September, we're at Mountain Valley Brewing in Axton, Virginia, for the first time. We're looking forward to that. September 28th, we're playing Max Speed Shop in Greensboro. And October 4th, we're at Max Speed Shop in Charlotte. And that's all they'll tell me at this point.
That's fantastic. Hey, we're going to take a really quick break. Go throw them a like on Facebook. Go bookmark their website. Check out some of their shows. Look at their calendar events and that kind of stuff. And after we come back from the break, we're going to hear a couple of songs from the Grand Ole Uproar. So we'll be right back.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Josh from the Grand Ole Uproar. This is a song called Funk House Fever. This is. Let me check my tuning real quick. This is a song that I wrote sort of as a response to Greensboro Woman by Townes Van Zandt, but I've been listening to a lot of Taj Mahal, which I recommend for anybody. I said we spent a good bit of time in New Orleans, and I'm intrigued by regional music that talks about the culture, so I thought there aren't enough songs about Greensboro, so I wrote this song, Greensboro Blues.
man, it's just fun. Like, half tempted to go dig my saxophone out of a closet and jump in.
Round two,
But
coming up.
not tonight, though. One more time, guys, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
Thank you for being here.
for
Thank you for
having us
playing.
on the
You're
show.
very welcome. Before we leave, one more time, where can they find you online? Where can they come see you live?
Woo, the
Where
Grand
do I
Ole
send 'em?
Uproar.com. See us live September 20th at the Brewers Kettle in Kernersville, North Carolina. September 21st at Castle's Deli in King, North Carolina. And for other dates, check the website, check Facebook. Have a great night.
There you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with, I think, Mark Thomas. So we'll see you then. Have a good night.